feel very called to become a member of the Catholic Church.
Love the Catholic Church. It's just the best place to be.
From the studios of EWTN, this is Open Line. In North America, call toll-free 1-800-585-9396. That's 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985. You can also send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
Well, never a dull moment here at EWTN Global Catholic Radio. Pope Francis is attacking my producer. We have a little miniature cardboard cutout of Pope Francis that sits up on the frame of the window that separates the control room from the radio studio, and Pope Francis just fell off the ledge right into Elena's lap and startled her.
I'm thankful you explained that.
Well, and quite frankly, I think it's comeuppance because it's only fair that she should be tackled by a pope because as a 10-year-old, she tackled a pope.
Oh,
she broke through a barricade and tackled our Holy Father, Pope John Paul the Great.
Oh, boy.
And now, today, here on December 20th, 2016, the papacy has got its comeuppance. So,
yes.
How about that? That's a great way to start the program, isn't it?
It's a great way to start the program.
1-800-585-9396 is our toll-free number if you'd like to be part of the program. 1-800-585-9396. That's toll-free anywhere in North America. If you're outside the United States and Canada, your number is 1-205-271-2985. And we'll put you straight to the front of the line at 1-205-271-2985. You can send us an email, openline@ewtn.com, or you can text your question to Barbara. The letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response. Type your first name and your question. Message and data rates may apply. I'm Jack Williams, the lovely and talented Elena Rodriguez, looking all violated behind the glass now, is producing the program, and your call screener is Mr. Matt Gubensky. Our hostess, as she is every single Tuesday, our very own pro-life warrior, and quite frankly, a dead ringer for Mrs. Claus, Barbara McGuigan.
Oh! You are in big trouble for that one.
Why? Mrs. Claus is an attractive lady.
Oh!
She is, don't you think?
Oh, well, I don't know. I never looked at it.
You've got those wire rim glasses.
I do not.
In some older vintage photos, all right, we're gonna
Okay.
we'll talk about this at a later date. But
Okay,
I can make a case. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So
okay, all right.
Don't go too far down that road.
All right.
Barbara, how are you?
I'm good. I'm fine. I couldn't be better. I couldn't be better, Jack.
You didn't sell that very well. I'll be honest with you.
No, I'm swamped right now. Oh my gosh! And I just remembered I have chili on the stove that I was supposed to turn off before I started this show. I'm serious.
Okay, here we go.
Skyline. So I can't run down and do that right now, but we'll just hurry up with this. I'm serious.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yes.
All right, we have an email from a medical doctor.
Yes.
Who says, "Dear Barbara, thank you for sharing the story of baby Nevin," which I guess you did on the Good Fight this past Saturday.
Yes.
"We need more stories like this to promote life when families receive heartbreaking prenatal diagnoses. As an OBGYN, I've been privileged to accompany several families through these times, and I've seen faith shared and faith grown. These families know how they've been blessed with special intercessors. One case that I will carry near to my heart is a case in which a baby's deformities made it impossible for a natural delivery. We did a cesarean section at full term, knowing the chances the baby would survive were slim. In order for the baby to be baptized, our priest was present in the operating room during the cesarean, and the baby was baptized within minutes of its birth. The baby died shortly afterwards, but there was a peace and consoling presence felt by all. Afterwards, tears were shed, and the hospital staff spent times with hugs and support of each other. Off in the corner by himself, I noticed Father Carey, and he had tears in his eyes as well. He said, 'Doesn't anyone have a hug for the priest?' Needless to say, I hug priests whenever possible. We should continue to pray for priests, that they may console and support families according to our faith when faced with difficult times. God bless you." And that's from Dr. Ann.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Jack. I'll give a little background on this. You need to know the backstory, which is why Anne wrote the email to me. There's a couple. Okay. They met on a blind date, Lisa and Mike Brown, in January of 1999. They had their faith, such a bond because of their faith, their Catholic faith, and they were married on May 26th, 2001 at Christ the King Church in Tampa. Now, on August 8th, 2003, Lisa and Mike were blessed with the birth of their first son, Sam. They were overwhelmed with joy. Life was perfect for the Browns. And then in 2006, Lisa and Mike were overjoyed to discover they were expecting their second child. But at 10 and a half weeks into the pregnancy, a routine ultrasound, and we've talked about this before, revealed that the tragic news that their baby had a rare genetic disorder called trisomy 18. See, normally, Jack, you need 23 pairs of human chromosomes, but in trisomy 18, there's an extra chromosome with the 18th pair. It's amazing how all of this works. So they were listening to their doctor explain trisomy 18, and it just seemed such a hard thing, as it would be for any couple, to have the knowledge that your baby may not even survive through the pregnancy, much less after the baby's born. And we've had this in my family too, so I know what this is like. So not trisomy 18, but other life-threatening diagnoses. And so they had to listen to their doctor proceed to tell them that abortion drug RU486 was an immediate solution. I call it the final solution, but an immediate solution to their problem. They were very hardcore, good pro-lifers. They flatly refused, and they just were going to just get on their knees, which they did immediately, and pray to God that His will would be done. But they prayed for a miracle. Who wouldn't in this situation, right? So the first thing she did was turn to her priest friend. Now, this is why Anne wrote that little part in there in the email about the priest. She turned to her dear priest friend, but she listened with total disbelief as he told her she needed to weigh her decision very carefully. He was asking questions like, what sort of life would her baby have, even if by some miracle he somehow survived? What sort of life would she and Mike have? These were the questions he was saying. Were they prepared for a child that had no chance of survival? But that wasn't even true, because there is chance of survival with trisomy 18. With heavy heart, he gently told her that under the circumstances it would be understandable if she decided not to bring her baby to term. And that was not the response that Lisa had expected, nor was it what the priest should have told her. The church teaching on unborn babies with a fatal diagnosis is very clear, and I think I gave that last week, Jack, didn't I, about viability and everything? Okay. So this is what she should have been told by the priest. But hey, you can't know everything. Maybe he forgot all about the USCCB doctrine from ethical and religious directives for healthcare. Maybe he didn't have the chance to read Evangelium Vitae. All of it was there, but the whole thing that weighed so heavy on them because they didn't have the support of the doctor. She kept bringing this up to abort the baby. She didn't have the support of her priest. She had a chorionic villus sampling, and this revealed more and more, yep, this baby has trisomy 18, and so her doctor again strongly advised her to terminate. So these were very, very dark days, if you can imagine. And along came a website, and one of our listeners called up about this, Jack, called Be Not Afraid. And after they were linked up with a wonderful lady from this organization, it's a lay organization, they began to say, God's will be done. Whatever it is, God's will be done. And so they searched for a suitable name for this little baby. And they chose the name, they're Irish, they chose the Gaelic name Nevan, Nevan, which in Irish, and Gaelic, we always call it in Irish, means holy little saint. So here's how it worked. This was a terrible mental anguish for them, but because of Be Not Afraid, because of their doula, this is a person who assists you all the way through the pregnancy, everything like that. They went all through. The weeks went by. At 31 and a half weeks into her pregnancy, just 4 days before her first little boy, Sam's 3rd birthday, Lisa went into labor, and she immediately headed to the hospital. The baby was born alive, and without question, he was absolutely precious and perfect in their eyes. Now, here's the thing. The baby was immediately baptized. They washed him. They gave him a bath. They washed him. They weren't sure how long he was going to be able to breathe. They held him. They loved him. They cherished him in the short 1 hour of his life. But here was the thing. Lisa was very groggy at this point. I'm sure they tried to just really almost knock her out because of how difficult this birth could have been. And she thought she saw something on Nevin's little chest. But he was all dressed for his baptism, and she didn't think about it again. But here's the thing. The doula, named Jane, took a picture because the doctor was trying to see if the baby's heart was beating. 2.5-pound little tiny thing. And so the doctor shone a small flashlight, and there on that little baby's chest, made from broken blood vessels, was at least a 3-inch by 2-inch cross on the baby's chest. And that's what Lisa thought she saw, but she thought, I'm seeing things. I'm groggy. I'm seeing things. Well, Lisa went home. A couple days later, it was her little boy's birthday, and in walks the doula, Jane, with a picture of this. A blown up picture of the doctor shining this flashlight right by his heart so she could see if the baby's heart was still beating by the movement in his chest. And there, bigger than life, now even darker, was this 3-inch by 2-inch, we guesstimate, cross. And so now, this little boy, they were praying for a miracle, right? I mean, a hardcore miracle. Who wouldn't be, as I said? And this was their miracle. No one, to anyone's knowledge thus far, has had their little baby born with a cross on his chest. And they took it as a miracle. The doctor, the priest, first of all, was absolutely moved to tears. And he kept gazing again and again at the miraculous image. He was the one who was advocating that they abort by saying, go ahead, follow the doctor's lead. The doctor, to this day, carries a picture in her wallet that she's shown it to so many people. They have holy cards printed now. They're going to work on this and get this sent off, the whole dossier sent off to the Vatican about this. And what a testimony to human life. If this little baby, for some reason, may be declared a servant of God, may be beatified, who knows, venerable, whatever, this is just such a miracle. And you can go to Children of God, COG for Life, FORLIFE.org, COG, and you can see this whole story that I just told you. Debbie Vintage wrote the story, Holy Little Saint, a story of hope, healing, and miracles. And you can see the picture yourself of the cross. And they buried Holy Little Saint. And so that's what we talked about. And it was an amazing show on Saturday. And the mother was on. The mother, Lisa, was on the air with me, along with Debbie Vintage and a couple other nurses. And it was quite amazing. What do you think, Jack?
Amazing story. 1-800-585-9396 is our toll-free number. Just getting started on an open line Tuesday with our very own pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan. Go get your chili, Barbara.
From EWTN News Nightly in Washington, D.C., I'm Wyatt Goolsby with an EWTN News Link. German Chancellor Angela Merkel calls yesterday's attack in Berlin a terrorist attack. 12 people were killed and nearly 50 others hurt when a truck drove through a Christmas market. Police say they could have arrested the wrong man and the suspect could still be at large. Pope Francis sends his condolences to Berlin's Archbishop. The Holy Father prays for the dead and urges those of goodwill to fight the folly of terrorism. Russian investigators continue to determine whether the assassination of the ambassador to Turkey was the work of a lone gunman or part of a wider attack. Russia's ambassador to Turkey, Andrei Karlov, was shot and killed yesterday by a Turkish policeman. And China returns the U.S. underwater drone it seized last week. A Chinese statement says the drone was handed back to the U.S. after friendly consultations. The device was taken in international waters near the Philippines. I'm Wyatt Goolsby. Join us this evening for EWTN News Nightly.
Podcasts of Open Line are available within 24 hours of live broadcast. Go to EWTN.com and click on Multimedia.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
Advent is a preparation, isn't it? It's a preparation for Christmas. Do you realize how much work goes on to preparing for Christmas? You gotta get a tree, and then you gotta decorate it, and then most of the decorations from last year got dirty. Some of them broke. So you're running back and forth with new decorations. Then you gotta buy presents for everybody. And then you're scratching your head wondering who you forgot. And then you got this big dinner. Then you're wondering who's gonna come. Well, anyway, all of these things come in your mind. And there goes Christmas. See? All of these things are wonderful, and we should do them all. But not at the expense of saying to Jesus, I thank you for coming. Happy birthday.
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
EWTN Radio Classics is our 24/7 teaching and devotionals channel featuring Mother Angelica, Patrick Madrid, Father Benedict Groeschel, and more. Find them online at EWTNradio.net. Now available on the EWTN app.
This is Dan Burke, host of Divine Intimacy Radio. Jesus Christ, God made flesh, was born among us to redeem us, to befriend us, and to lead us to heaven. Don't let Advent or Christmas pass you by without taking time to reflect on the greatest gift ever given to mankind, ever given to you. God's blessings to you and yours this Advent and Christmas from Divine Intimacy Radio and the entire EWTN family.
This is Archbishop Charles J. Chaput.
This is Teresa Tomeo, host of Catholic Connection.
Hello, friends. This is Father Wade Menezes of the Fathers of Mercy for EWTN. A very blessed Advent and happy Advent from all of us here at the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question or comment, call 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985 or send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
Just getting started on an Open Line Tuesday. Our very own pro-life warrior Barbara McGuigan is in the house. 1-800-585-9396 is our toll-free number. 1-800-585-9396. To the phones we go. Michael's in the great state of New York, listening to EWTN on Sirius XM Channel 130. Michael, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Michael.
Yes, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How about you, good man?
So, I'm sidewalk counsel in New York City, and I just wanted to relay an experience that one of our counselors had.
Okay.
So it explains what the pro-life movement is all about. Basically, a woman was exiting the subway, and one of our counselors approached her and, asked her, where she was going. She said, I'm going to Planned Parenthood to get an abortion. Mm. So she went on to explain that the reason why she was having the abortion was because her husband threatened to beat her, and she was in a violent relationship with her husband. But the husband just said, well, I'm going to beat you if you don't get the abortion, and also I'll kick you out of the house. So basically what the counselor did was get her in touch with the Sisters of Life, and the Sisters of Life were able to find her an attorney to get an order of protection, against the husband. They also be able to find her housing for victims of domestic violence. And if she had gone into Planned Parenthood and had the abortion, well, then of course she would have gone back to that violent relationship, and she would have had to deal with the grief and guilt of that abortion. And her situation, would not have improved or anything to that effect. And it just goes to show you how, how the pro-life movement really helps women. It helps solve the problems, and really how Planned Parenthood exploits women in their problems.
Amen.
And I'm just hang up and listen to your response.
Oh, Michael, don't hang up. You did a great job. Very eloquently spoken. You're so right. And this is why I always try to encourage, especially mothers and fathers who have been involved in abortion. This is a great way to atone for the sin of abortion, is to help other women, and possibly if the gentleman's around, the father of the child, to help other women not make the same mistake, and men as well. So what you do is a wonderful thing. Sidewalk counseling will enhance everything you do, because you are on the front lines. You are on the front lines. You are standing in solidarity with the victims. You notice I didn't say victim, because some people say, all you people care about is the baby. No. We care about the mother and the baby, because you can't hurt one without hurting the other. You can't help one without helping the other. So we care for both. So thank you, Michael, for calling in. Beautiful story.
Have a good day, Ed.
God bless you, good man. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Thanks.
Thank you.
1-800-585-9396 is our toll-free number. Next up is Susan. She's in Leominster, Massachusetts, listening to EWTN. Susan, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Susan.
Yes. Hello, and Merry Christmas to both of you.
Well, thank you very much.
Same to you.
I'm calling because I had a talk with my daughter last night. She's 29. Unfortunately, she's been married and divorced twice, the first time as Catholic. And now she's seeing someone else, and she had the nerve to tell me last night that she loves having sex. Okay? I tried to talk to her, and we were talking about abortion. And hopefully, as you've said on the radio, when Trump gets in there, he's going to put in some pro-life people for the Supreme Court.
Amen,
now,
yes.
When I told her that, she said, but Mom, if all these people have their babies, what's going to happen to the babies? We'll have to pay for them. And I said, what? She said, if the parents don't want them, they'll dump them into the system. I said, well, what about, them being adopted? She said there's not enough adoptions to cover all those babies. So, how do you tell someone that you brought up Catholic that her thinking is all screwed up?
You know what? Her thinking is screwed up because she's uninformed. That's really the bottom line. There are so many people waiting for babies to adopt, but because there are so many abortions still, but also we know when abortion will be made illegal, I hope it's in my lifetime. Jack, you think it's going to be in our lifetime? I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't matter as long as it happens, that it's an illegal situation and people will not seek it. We already know that, but education is so important. You've heard of the operative word in real estate, location, location, location. Well, I maintain if you want a kid to grow in virtue and grace, they need formation, formation, formation. And so, first of all, when they think like this, you need to talk about the mother first. You can't just talk about the babies first and fetal development and all that sort of thing. That's all good, and it depends on where the person is at. But she needs to know that a mother who submits to abortion is submitting to a very serious crime, for one thing, a crime against Almighty God. Abortion breaks the heart of God. And so, but she also, whoops, I hear some music, so I guess we're going to go to a break. Susan, can you hang on, hon? Hang on, okay?
1-800-585-9396. Open Line Tuesday with Barbara McGuigan.
The Spirit of Advent with Father Dominic Legg.
The Church's season of Advent commemorates two comings of Christ. First, as a little child in Bethlehem, and second, as a king at the end of time who will come to judge the living and the dead. Now, we might think that that's a kind of frightening thing to meditate on, the coming of Christ in the Last Judgment, but it actually can be very consoling. Jesus will come again to reestablish true justice for all time. And so we can ask Christ to come into all of the places where there is injustice and suffering. Let's ask this Advent for Christ to be our King, the King of my life, the King of my family, to reign over our country and over our world, to establish justice and to bring true peace. What a great gift we can receive this Advent.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
I'm in a good place in my life.
And I'm energized by new adventures.
I've got friends to laugh with.
And a good relationship.
But even though I'm kind of comfortable,
I sometimes wonder, is there something more?
Could God and church be what you're looking for? Come and see at CatholicsComeHome.com.
The EWTN catalog is now totally digital. At home or on the go, Christmas shopping has never been easier. Plus, you and your friends can shop using your iPad or iPhone or virtually any mobile device. Visit EWTNRC.com today.
This is Peggy Normandin, host of Call Me Catholic.
Hi, this is Tim Staples from Catholic Answers Live.
This is Michael Warsaw, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of EWTN, wishing you a blessed Advent from all of us at the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Tomorrow on EWTN Radio's Open Line, Father Mitch Pacwa takes your calls about the Bible, the Church, and the writings of the Pope. 3 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question or comment, call 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985 or send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
We're talking to Susan in the great state of Massachusetts, and Barbara, she's a little disappointed that her child doesn't seem to get the pro-life message.
And I don't blame you, Susan, for being disappointed. I would be too. But now you have a job to do. You have to educate her. She needs to understand, first of all, the complications that can come with any abortion: bladder injury, bowel injury, breast cancer, ectopic pregnancy, effects on future pregnancies. Failed abortions sometimes happen. I know someone who tried to abort twins, and they said they aborted both of their babies, and one was not aborted. And this little child just ached because she knew something was wrong. This woman was depressed until she was in college, and then the mother finally told her that I aborted your little brother. And so this all has ramifications, all of it. She can hemorrhage, she can get hepatitis, she can get some kind of infection, laceration of the cervix, more miscarriages later, perforation of the uterus, that's a hole in the uterus, placenta previa, post-abortion syndrome, and I've seen a lot of that in my work. This whole just syndrome where they are just racked with guilt and shame. Sometimes they leave pieces of the baby inside, and then they have to go back in again, and this requires another surgery. I mean, severe rapid bleeding, sterility, unrecognized ectopic pregnancies. I mean, it goes on. And this is all documented. So she also, I believe, needs to understand that this Marriage Act is a very beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful gift. Pam Stencil has a wonderful video called Sex Has a Price Tag. And that would be a good thing for you to order. I bet you can still order that at EWTN Religious Catalog. Sex has a price tag. Your daughter's getting older now. She needs to know this so she doesn't make any of these terrible mistakes, really. So I would start with what it does to the mother. As a matter of fact, I was looking at an article, and you can pull this up too. Do you have internet access, Susan?
Yes, I do.
Okay, write this down, hon. Here's how it goes. When misery meets mercy.
Okay.
This is on the HLI, so go to truthandcharityforum.org. Truth and Charity, all one word, forum, throw that in there, .org, when misery meets mercy. And this group got a letter, I think it came to Project Rachel, and the woman didn't sign her name. It was very anonymous, and she said, please don't do it. She signed her letter to any woman considering an abortion. Please don't do it. I did twice, unexpectedly. I have carried that decision within me, in my heart, in my mind ever since. It has never gone away, and I have never been able to accept that decision as 100% correct. Even at 99%, that 1% of doubt unleashes unbearable guilt forever. Do not do it to yourself. Listen to these words. I testify to you. The decision to abort a fetus, she said, will bring you suffering. Now, sometimes you might think using the word fetus is callous. It just means little one in Latin. It's not callous at all. It's a Latin word. And so she says, choose life. It is the right choice. So you got to feed your daughter now with information. Feed her. And then you can get some fetal development in there, and we'll make a pro-lifer out of her. Don't you worry, Susan, okay?
Thank you.
God bless you, hon. Merry Christmas.
Okay, you too. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
1-800-585-9396. Couple lines open for you. Next up is Father John in West Palm Beach, Florida, listening on Sirius XM Channel 130. Father John, you're on with Barbara.
Hi, Father
Barbara.
John. Hi there.
How are you?
Great,
Good.
thanks. How about you, good priest?
Wonderful, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you. How can I help you? You could help me, Father.
Well, I was just going to say that I'm a priest 42 years. I'm now retired 3 years, but
wonderful.
The 20 years, my last 20 years was with the migrant workers, mostly Mexicans.
Okay.
And out in the fields with the sugar people and stuff. And
sure.
it was amazing how many women would come to me and say, the doctor told me I have to have an abortion because the baby's going to be born deformed or, dead. And I said, listen, I remember Padre Pio,
Sure.
And I said to them, listen, we'll pray to Padre Pio, and I'll tell you the truth. No one who had a baby who had come to see me about those things, about the doctor telling them about the abortion, ever had a sickly baby. And I don't know if it was a miracle that Father John was performing, or if it was that the doctors were doing this to poor people to keep the population down.
Or to keep them working in the fields.
Keep them in the fields, the dollar signs in their eyes, huh?
But it never, ever turned out to be a sickly baby.
Yes.
Amazing?
Father John, it is amazing. That is very amazing. And we just have a lot of work to do. I mean, some of us have been in the pro-life movement, not me, but since Roe v. Wade was passed, January 22nd, 1973, and people still don't get it. They still don't get it, but a lot more of them do. Wouldn't you say, Father John?
I would say, yeah, because one thing that came out in this election was the pro-life.
Amen.
They're not going to have abortions like before.
Could you believe it? Could you believe that how President-elect Trump was elected, a pro-lifer? I mean, it's unbelievable, don't you think?
To the Lord, she told the priest, she told me, she said, Father, the Blessed Mother, and Mother Teresa of Calcutta, they're not going to let this person win because she said you could abort the baby right up to the day before it was born.
Amen.
And that was an extraordinary thing to say.
Can you
that
believe?
never really hit the main news, and nobody really paid too much attention to that, except that we knew that the other candidate was pro-life. And
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes. It's
Right,
all
and
it
I have a
takes,
feeling-
because he can do that Supreme Court, and
it'd be wonderful.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, yes.
Yeah.
It's something to be so thankful for this Christmas. It's the greatest Christmas gift we could get, don't you think?
Mother Teresa of Calcutta somebody said to her, well, if you have such a good God and a real God and he does exist, how come we still have cancer? She said, well, you killed the doctor as a little baby that was going to cure cancer.
I remember.
I mean, it's
hearing
wonderful. These are the truth.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes. Well, Father John, I'm so grateful that you called, and I bet
thank
you
you.
still have a busy schedule anyway, even though you're retired, right?
Yeah, I help out everywhere.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, keep preaching the word, boy. Tell it, all right?
I will. All right.
God bless you.
Keep me in your prayers, too. Thank you.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Off to the other side and edge of the country. Regina's in the great state of Washington, listening to EWTN Radio. Regina, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Regina.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How can I help?
Okay, first, thank you very much for all of your talks about abortion and what it does to women. I really appreciate it, and I listen to you as much as I can so that I can have feedback to these women that think it's okay because they call the fetus a tissue, and some call it a parasite, and the mother is a host, and that just that flies in my face. So, what that one lady prior to that, when you said about that book, When Misery Meets Mercy, can you get that in a bookstore, or is that?
Actually, it's an article. It's an article on the truthandcharityforum.org. It's a very good article, too. Just two pages, actually. And it's called When Misery Meets Mercy. If you just put that in your search, When Misery Meets Mercy, it'll come up. It's very good.
Yeah. Okay. My big comment and what I've looked at and thought about for years is, for some reason, men are so denigrated, and they're just considered, like buffoons. If you'll watch so many of these sitcoms, which I don't, I just can't handle them, but they make men look like total buffoons as a father, as anything. And I think that has pervaded our whole culture.
Yep.
And so that last one about that lady with her daughter, what about that? You talked about the mother and the baby. What about the father?
Oh,
nobody ever brings up the dad. He's like a sperm donor. He doesn't count. What about him?
You know, if he's around, of course. I mean, I always talk about the mother, of course, because she's, the second victim. But you're right, also the father as well. And I've counseled not too many men in my apostolate, but I have counseled more than a few. Let me put it that way. And that is so true, because sometimes the mother after an abortion has not hit rock bottom yet. She doesn't really, maybe she didn't have all the facts. I mean, we're not here to judge. God knows her heart. But I have had fathers come to me and say, nobody seemed to care about me in this, or I paid for it, but I just thought that was a thing I was supposed to do, but then when I thought about it, it wasn't, And I've had some heart-wrenching sessions with fathers. So you're absolutely right. You always have to bring up the father, too. It's just that so often when you're counseling outside an abortion clinic, the father is not around. But yes, of course. Maybe he doesn't even know. He might not even know what's taking place. See what I mean?
I never thought of that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, but you're right. No, the father is just as important. My goodness. But he doesn't have a prayer. If she wants an abortion and he doesn't want her to have one, he has no rights whatsoever in that decision. That's the way the law is. That's the way the law is set. It's all on the woman.
See, that's what really upsets me, because that's what I said our culture is. And in this past election, one of the contenders, she was all about women's rights, and it was all about women. And what bothered me was they never mentioned the men.
No, and they don't.
What bothered me.
They don't. They don't at all. No. He's nothing. He's absolutely nothing. One time, this young guy on crutches, he had broken his foot skiing, or his leg, I guess it was, and his girlfriend called me up and she says, I just had an abortion, and there is absolutely, I have no problems whatsoever with this decision, but my boyfriend keeps crying. Will you talk to him? And he kept saying to me, I'll never be the same. I'll never be the same. And I looked at him eyeball to eyeball. That's how we women like to talk, right, Regina? Eyeball to eyeball. Okay. I looked at him and I said, no, you will be better. And he goes, better?
Okay.
How could I be better? I said, because you are sorry. You are suffering. You know what it's like. Okay. To do something like this. He paid for the abortion, basically. And I said, now you can atone by going around helping other young men, because he was in high school, to never make the same mistake.
Okay,
God loves you.
Yeah. What if it was like, the boyfriend or a husband? And where do they fit in? They have no say. See, this was someone that paid for the abortion, but what about
Well,
he's looking forward to this child, and she just says, I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you counsel somebody like that?
It's
just
tough.
A non-entity.
It's really tough because he doesn't have a prayer in that decision for the most part. What we did a couple times in my career, I've worked on the mother. And just said, look, this your husband loves you, and he loves this little child, She says, well, he doesn't have to go through with it. It is not his decision. It's really sad. That's what radical feminism has done to this culture. It's coarse. Agree. It's made a lot of poor souls very coarse when it comes to life. Yep.
Well, I'm a, proponent, for men and women, and I just, it's sad that one sex seems to, have more say, and I know it's all through media, 100%, and I'm very saddened, and I pray for, hopefully, with the new administration that there will be some equality.
Oh, I think you're going to see a lot of differences. I do think we're going to see a lot of differences. Thank you, dear heart, for calling, and you have a Merry Christmas, okay?
I will. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye now.
Barbara, you can carry EWTN with you everywhere. You can enjoy EWTN Live TV, the radio streams with audio and video on demand, EWTN news, program schedules, prayers and devotionals. Included free with the EWTN app is the full Revised Standard Version Catholic Edition Bible, the Gospel of Mark audio from the Truth and Life New Testament audio Bible, and you can download all of these features in one app. Download the EWTN app at EWTN.com/mobile. Back to the phones we go. JR is in West Branch, Michigan, listening on Baraga Broadcasting. JR, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hello, JR.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How can I help you, good man?
You were just talking about me.
I was just talking about you. How so?
The man with no rights.
Yeah. I was involved in immoral sex before marriage, and I got my girlfriend pregnant, and I went to her parents, who were both members of the Catholic Church, and said, I want to marry your daughter. I went away for 2 weeks, and I came back, and they had an abortion.
Oh. That's hard to take, isn't it, JR?
Sure it is. And there's a child I'll never see except in heaven if the Lord's, that's the only choice you got, and there's nothing that you can do.
Did she mention that she was considering that when you left?
No. I think her parents prevailed upon her when I was gone.
I see. How is she doing? Or do you still see her or talk to her?
I do not. Had a big falling out with her family. I was very upset about that. I was,
sure.
Of course, I was in tears, and they were saying, well, we didn't know you felt this strongly, but they didn't ask me. They just said, oh, let's kill the baby.
Oh, goodness.
There are a lot of men out there that really care and that are hurting, and maybe they won't admit that, but to men, that intercourse with a woman, and I don't mean a casual thing, but where you're involved with on a regular basis, it's a very bonding experience. Yes. It's a very bonding to you, and you feel that you are loving her and that you want to produce as God said, we want to replenish the earth, and we want to reproduce, and we really look forward to that. And it's I think it's our God-driven duty. And the lady, like we talked before, we don't have a chance. We just don't have a chance.
Yes. Well, God can take any bloody crucifixion, which is what any suffering is like, it seems. At least it seems like that to us. There are different levels of suffering, of course, but he can take that suffering and turn it into a clean, healthy scar. So just the fact that you called up today to give your testimony is going to speak volumes to a lot of young men and older men who are listening. What do you think? God's using you already, JR.
Also, I think that maybe the ladies will listen, the ones that are pregnant, and realize that there is a strong emotional tie between the father, who is more than a sperm donor.
Yes.
If he's a Christian, he's more than a sperm donor.
I so agree, and you're so right, and that's what radical feminism has done to this country. It is a scourge because they have made men look like fools in many cases. Absolute idiots. Like the women, they know so much more, and they can do things so much better, and if they could just be like men, they say that, and that means that men don't have to have babies, neither do they. I mean, this is the sickest. This is from the pit, let me tell you. This whole mentality is wrong, and it has completely captured so many of our young women, and it still is doing that. Not so bad, not so much in high school, but boy, when they get into universities, not all, of course, but many, they will just preach this whole idea of reproductive rights and women need rights too and blah, blah, blah. And that's what it is. So thank you so much, JR, for calling. God bless you, good man. Merry Christmas.
Don't let the women forget their gift from God.
Ah, okay. Thank you. Yes, that's exactly right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, good man.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Barbara, do you know Jason Jones?
I do.
Jason has a very compelling story that he tells about how he was introduced to abortion. When he was in high school, the young lady that he was dating found herself pregnant, and they had made the decision that they would kind of keep that under wraps, that she would wear loose-fitting clothing, start taking vitamins, and as soon as he was old enough, he would join the military. And they were going to start their family. And when he was off at basic training, got a frantic phone call from his girlfriend. And by the time he got to the phone, her dad had gotten on the phone and let him know that he was aware of their secret and that it had been taken care of. And he talks about the anguish that he, as a potential father, or as a father, felt in that moment.
If they've had any good formation at all and they understand the sanctity of human life, be this on the woman's part or the man's part, then they see abortion for what it really is. It's all about knowing the truth, wouldn't you say, Jack? You have to know the truth about things.
There's no question about that. And along those same lines, we've got John from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, listening on Sirius XM Channel 130. John, you're on with Barbara.
Hi, John.
Hi, Barbara. How are you?
Couldn't be better. How about you, good man?
I'm great. I've had the pleasure of speaking to you previously, in different shows. I love your show.
Thank you.
I thank you for your ministry. So my question is this. With all this talk on the show today, it made me wonder, has there ever been a Supreme Court challenge that has, the challenge to Roe v. Wade based on the civil rights of the man?
Not to my knowledge. I have never. Have you, Jack, heard anything like that?
I have not.
No. I not to my knowledge.
It sounds to me like a very logical, or at least a legal basis to make that challenge. I mean, there is no such thing as, conception without equal donation from the opposite sex. So why doesn't he have any rights in this matter? That ought to be a civil right.
I totally agree with you. I totally and completely agree with you. As our Supreme Court stands right now, we wouldn't have a prayer. But in the future, we will have more than prayers.
I hope there's a pro bono Supreme Court lawyer listening.
Yes, yes. And thanks for planting the seed, John. Have a Merry Christmas.
You too. Merry Christmas.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
1-800-585-9396. I don't know if there are Supreme Court lawyers. I think just your garden variety lawyer may find himself one day in front of the Supreme Court. I don't think that there are necessarily Supreme Court lawyers, but his point is well taken.
It is.
You do see men's rights given standing in cases of frozen embryos.
You certainly do. And that's something. Now there is a lawsuit on, what's her name again? You always know her name, Vergara?
Sofia Vergara, yeah.
Sofia Vergara. Her ex, she was engaged to this man, and her ex-fiance, and he has brought a lawsuit against her to get their two frozen babies in their concentration cans. He wants the babies. And boy, they downplay it around here like crazy. If you're going to read an article, it's always from another place, not in the state of California. So they downplay it. But that will be really something to look at, to see what happens there. Because he said those children are half mine. There you go. And
I wonder, I don't know, it's when you're at an impasse, in a situation where there's no precedent, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine, how that would ultimately be adjudicated. Very quickly, we'll go to Betty in Grand Forks, North Dakota, listening on Real Presence Radio. Betty, we've got about a minute left with Barbara.
Hi, Betty.
Yes, thank you. Hi, thank you. Just wanted to invite everyone out to Christmas caroling outside their local abortion clinics. It's been known that women that have their scheduled abortion appointments, they choose life and they give birth to their babies because they simply heard Christmas music on the way to their scheduled abortion appointment.
Oh, it's a beautiful practice, Betty. Thank you profusely for reminding us all about that. If you can get out there and just sing away, and you might be saving little Christmas babies, for Pete's sake. How beautiful is that?
Well, God bless you, Betty. Thanks so much. Hope you have a Merry Christmas. Barbara, did you save the chili America wants to know?
I did. I turned it off so I can get back down there.
Fantastic. We'll see you on next Tuesday.
Okay, God bless you, Jack.
On behalf of our host, Barbara McGuigan, our producer, Elena Rodriguez, call screener, Matt Gubensky, I'm Jack Williams. Thanks so much for taking a little time out of your Tuesday to join us here on EWTN's Open Line. Father Mitch is in the house tomorrow. Open Line Wednesday. Father Larry on Thursday. Colin Donovan, our Vice President of Theology, on Friday. Until we get together tomorrow with Father Mitch, God bless.